Hello, everyone. My name is Hironori SAKAI. I'm from the University of Tokyo. My English isn't perfect, but I will do my best to make sure you understand. Today, I will talk about the effects of a game related to loss in life. I will explain how this game affects well-being. This research is a collaborative project with Dr. Noriko TOYOKAWA and Professor Toru FUJIMOTO. First, the research background. Games about death and loss are gaining attention. For example, Spiritfarer and Bear's Restaurant. These games helped players who lost someone. The players found new meaning for the future. Also, a game about losing important things promotes personal growth and life satisfaction. Therefore, games about loss may promote well-being. However, there is a problem. Past studies only examined the results. Which design elements create which mental processes? This remains unclear. The impact of specific playful design elements, such as chance and narrative, on learners' reflective and meaning-making processes is also unclear. There are two ways to use game elements. One is gamification with rewards, such as points, badges, and leaderboards. This method is effective in the short term, as motivation may decrease over time. The other way is playful design. It uses curiosity, exploration, and reflection. It fosters intrinsic motivation from the learner. Loss is a heavy topic, so we think playful design is a better fit. Our research purpose. We have two questions. Question 1. Does the game improve well-being, like the non-game activity? Question 2. How do the underlying psychological and cognitive processes differ? We will compare two activities. One is Dice of Destiny, or DoD. It's a game about loss. The other is What Matters to Me, or MTM, a simple reflective activity. It's not a game. One more point. We tested both activities in self-paced online learning. There was no teacher or facilitator. This is our game, Dice of Destiny, or DoD. It has 3 stages. In Stage 1, players create cards of their precious things. For example, people, places, and events. In Stage 2, players write why each one is important. Stage 3, players roll a die. Then, they lose cards by the result of the die. The original game was a group activity. We changed it to an online solo activity. It takes 25 to 30 minutes. The DoD has 3 playful design elements. The first is chance. The die determines the outcome. It's not about skill. According to Kaiwa, the outcome of dice games is due to fate rather than skill, which lowers the psychological barrier to loss. The second element is a fantasy story. The player wakes up in another world. A child says, "Roll the dice of fate, and you can go home." This story makes the game exciting. It also keeps a psychological distance from loss. The third is the letter. After the loss, a guide character makes a suggestion. Please write a letter to your loved one. This letter connects the game to real life. This is the control activity. It is called What Matters to Me, or MTM for short. It has 4 steps. Step 1. Think about the important things in your daily life. Step 2. List 5 or 6 of these things and rank them. Step 3. Think deeply. Why are they important? Step 4. Note down what you have noticed. MTM has the same time and the same focus as DoD. However, there is no story, no fantasy, no dice, and no loss. Our method. Participants were students at a university in Oregon, USA. The study took place in the fall of 2025. We analyzed data from 34 students. 17 played DoD. 17 did MTM. Both groups took a survey before and after the activity. We used 4 major scales: life satisfaction scale, significance of life, coping self-efficacy scale, and stress-related growth. We also measured motivation, and we collected comments. The two groups were the same at the start. The Institutional Review Board of Southern Oregon University approved this study. Here are the main results. All 4 scores went up after the activity. This change was statistically significant. This was true for both groups. In other words, there was no difference between the groups. Therefore, both the game and the non-game activity were effective. The results were at the same level. This slide shows the effect sizes and motivations. The table shows the effect size of the change. For example, life satisfaction had a large effect size of D equals 1.09. Both groups showed meaningful changes. The right chart shows motivation scores. All scores were high in both groups. So, the heavy topic of loss did not negatively impact motivation. Next are the comments. We coded the free comments. The differences were clear. For instance, gratitude was expressed by 73% of DoD participants and 40% of MTM participants. Awareness or learning was 82% in DoD and 40% in MTM. Talking about loss was 82% in DoD and 0% in MTM. Please look at the quotes. One MTM student wrote, "It was good to count my blessings." This is simple gratitude. DoD students wrote more profound things. For example, losing everything in an instant is terrifying, and I reevaluated what is truly important. They imagined losing their precious belongings. Then, they reflected on their values again. Now, let's begin the discussion. Both groups had the same results. However, their paths were different. The MTM path improved students' outlook on what they have. They feel thankful. Their well-being increases. On the DoD path, students safely lost things inside the game. They experience the fear of loss. They reconsider what really matters. Their well-being increases with deeper reflection. The 3 design elements, chance, fantasy, and narrative, made this heavy topic safe to explore. Now, let me conclude. First, a game about loss can have a positive impact on learners. It worked as well as a proven reflective activity and also fostered deeper reflection. Second, this game is effective for self-paced online learning. It does not require a teacher or facilitator. Third, the letter writing activity was more effective than group work. It helped students find meaning in life. Of course, this study has some limitations. The sample size was small, and we measured the outcomes only immediately after the activity. In future research, we will use larger samples and examine the long-term effects. Here is the list of references. Thank you all very much for your kind attention. I am truly grateful for the opportunity to present our research at HCI International 2026. I would be very happy to hear any questions or comments you may have.